This is the Para Cave Podcast, proudly brought to you by major sponsor Parramatta Leagues Club, home of the Eels, and also home of Jack's Pale Ale.
Welcome to another episode of the Para Cave Podcast. And now over to your host, Troy Warner, broadcasting live from the world-famous Para Cave.
And yes, hello and welcome back to another episode of the Para Cave Podcast. Troy Warner here, and this is the game review podcast of the NRLW game, round number 5. It was Magic Round, the first ever Magic Round up there in Newcastle on Saturday and Sunday. Parramatta, they played the last game of the round against the Dragons in front of 6,093 people. Look, it was terrible weather up there in Newcastle, raining, windy. At the ground, actually, there were signs of mud around that 50-metre area. It was pretty wet. It was pretty sloppy. I had concerns for players in this game because I know what Magic Round up in Brisbane is like by the end of Sunday. If you're playing the last game, thankfully there was only 5 games before this one, but nevertheless, the weather up there over those 2 days and the days leading up to this game were treacherous. They were rainy as I know a few people who live up that way, and they've been messaging me saying it was pretty much raining all the time. So I was actually surprised that how sort of good this field held up. As I said, there was a little bit of mud around that 50-metre area either side of that, but look, it held up pretty well, and thankfully there was no major injuries that I can think of that came out of this game. But it was great to see rugby league being played on a sort of muddy field. I mean, they were the best days as a junior rugby league player for myself, playing in the mud and the rain and the wet. It was great fun, slipping and sliding everywhere. But yeah, this game was pretty much typical of a wet weather game. It was very crucial. It was won by Parramatta, 12 points to 10. So a pleasing result for Parramatta. 3 wins now out of 5, which is really, really pleasing for the Eels. They find themselves in 5th position on the ladder now, which is really, really good. But look, it was a courageous victory. And when I say courageous, I mean it was a courageous victory in the terms of the fact that it was a massive injury toll to Parramatta in this game. Their strike centre, Rory Owen, she went off in the 10th minute with an ankle injury and did not return in this game. I don't know how long she will be out for. And then 6 minutes later, Mahalia Murphy, the captain, the inspirational captain, she went off for a HIA. So she was off for 15 minutes. Thankfully, she was able to come back. She cleared that HIA report. But then 8 minutes later, Cassie Tohuhiku, she also went off with an ankle injury as well and did not return to this game. And then in the 59th minute, Kennedy Charrington, who was coming back from injury, her first game of the season, her game ended with a HIA as well. So a very courageous victory for Parramatta. 2 players down on the bench, which was amazing to think that they could come off with this victory. Every player just stood up and they toiled very hard and got the victory in the end, 12 points to 10. So, look, it was probably one of, if not the most courageous win in the short history of the Parramatta NRLW team. They've had some great victories in the past, but this one will go down as one of the best. It was the first time in the club's history that they had beaten the Dragons in NRLW. I think they had 3 previous games before this one. They had never beaten the Dragons. They did on this occasion. And look, it was, as I said, courageous effort. That is for sure. As I said, it was 2 tries all. It was the goal kicking of Rachel Pearson that got Parramatta across the line. A penalty goal, in fact, in the 21st minute, only kicked by Rachel. 2 points, obviously the difference in this game. Both of Rachel's kick after the Fleur Ginn try, her first try in the NRLW, was from the sideline, so it was in those conditions really hard to, I guess, get that goal, but nevertheless she got that penalty goal in the 21st minute, and that was the difference in this game. It was only 6 points to 2 at half time after the Dragons, through Margot Vella, scored the first try of the game in the 33rd minute. So it was a very hard, tough, physical game. It was basically going down from one end to the other for basically most of the first half. Most of the first half, nobody looked like scoring. The defence from both sides was pretty strong, and it was only 2 minutes before half time when Margot Vella, she went over for a try. I think she made a break down the sideline as well, just before that as well, to get them into that position. So just before half time, they scored a try. The Dragons, they scored another try just after half time in the 39th minute. Tyra Ekapati got her first NRLW try as well. And it looked like the Dragons were in control. It was 6-2 at half time, as I mentioned. That made it 10-2, I think, after the... Yeah, that made it 10-2. Racine McGregor, she missed the goal kick after that Ekapati try. So it was 10-2 at that stage. And then Elsie Albert, she scored a try in the 56th minute. Now, Elsie, she had a massive game. The massive game from Elsie, and she has the last couple of weeks, actually, which has been amazing. Absolutely amazing. 14 runs, 120 metres. Also made 29 tackles in 47 minutes of football. Even managed to try and put in a sort of chip kick as well. That unfortunately didn't come off, but was a great little chip kick there. And had a massive game. And I think maybe making up for last season when she was out through injury, but didn't get a lot of football last year. But it's certainly making up for it this year. That is for sure. It was a pass from Kennedy Cherrington to Elsie. I think it was about 10, 12 metres out, and fended off Racine McGregor. And unfortunately, Racine went off with a HIA, I think, at that stage after that. And Elsie, she still had a lot of work to do. Players were trying to bring her down, but... it was a real marching try and a great try, and got Parramatta back into the game. Made it 10 points to 6 at that stage, and which was obviously what Parramatta wanted. And then obviously Rachel Pearson converted as well, so made it 10 points to 8. So got Parramatta right back into the game, which was a great thing. And then, as I said, 5 minutes later, Parramatta had a bit of the advantage there. They were unable to score a try back in the first half when Racine McGregor was off in the sin bin, so it was a big effort from the Dragons to keep Parramatta out. That's when Rachel Pearson kicked the penalty goal. But in the second half, it was 10 points to 8. Fleur Ginn, she got her first NRLW try, as I mentioned, in the 61st minute. It was a play out to the back line, and just smart passing and speed got her across the line, and the team was really excited about her scoring that try, as it was her first try in the NRLW. So that she came on for Rory Owen, who went off early in that game. So well done to her, and if Rory is unavailable this weekend against the Cowboys at CommBank Stadium, then I guess she will get that starting position in the centre position for her. There was a try disallowed right on full time to Parramatta. It was I think Martha Mattielli made the line. But there was it was awarded no try. I think she was held up across the line. So again, Martha, she had a great game as well. A real good find for Parramatta. I think coming over from rugby. 13 runs, 131 metres, and one of her runs was a real long one. But yeah, a big barnstorming winger, and she has, as I said, been a real find this year for Parramatta. Gets Parramatta out of trouble. She takes those hit ups after kicks, and has scored a couple of tries, I think now, but was denied on the weekend, which would have really sealed that game. Parramatta were ahead 12 points to 10. The Dragons then did have, I think, 2 tackles from memory, but they were down their end of the field. So the defence of Parramatta was really good and kept the Dragons away from their try line. They were never looking like they were going to score a 90-metre try, that's for sure. With only about 45 seconds, 30 seconds on the clock, it was going to always be a Parramatta victory. They weren't going to let that slip. They were 2 points in front. They were going to do everything they could to get that win, and as I said, it was a courageous victory, probably their best ever, I'd say. In terms of performers, Lindsay Tui out in that centre position, 14 runs, 136 metres, and I guess now that Rory Owen is probably maybe out for a little bit, she will have to step it up and be that strike centre, and we'll probably see her in that run meters, leading that for a few weeks to come. Ruben Cherrington, 12 runs, 133 metres, also made 25 tackles in 56 minutes of football. So, again, out for most of, if not all of last season. I think injured in round number 1, possibly, last year. Is making up for lost time and has had some great games the last few weeks, and is always in that top tacklers for the NRLW team. So a really good effort there. There was a bit of a wholesome moment after the game of Ruben consoling Kennedy after the game. Kennedy failed her HIA and now will be out of the Cowboys game this weekend. So it was a bit of a consoling moment between two sisters. You can see that on the socials of the Parramatta NRLW team. And, it just shows you how much it means for these sisters to play for Parramatta, and how they like to obviously look after each other as well. Abby Church, also 133 metres from 16 runs. I just find that she has really developed over the last 18 months and has become a really good fullback. Obviously, State of Origin fullback for New South Wales this season, played all 3 games. But I think her game has gone to another level now. I think we'll be pushing for that fullback position for Australia, I guess. Although Tamika Upton will probably get that spot, it might be handy to have Abby Church there, definitely in the squad as well. because, I mean, we all know what a champion player Tamika is, and I think she is the incumbent Australian fullback. So it'll be taking a lot to get her out of that position, but Abby Church, she would look very good in an Australian jumper as well. I think has represented the Prime Minister's 13 Australian side before. But obviously state of origin this year as well. But yeah, she's a real leader in this side as well. A little bit of a instinct play at one stage there. I think there was a kick put up, and then Parramatta put in another short little kick, but Abby Church was just in front, and I think the ball came to her so fast that she just caught it in an offside position, unfortunately. Martha Mattaelli, 131 metres from 13 runs, and Elsie Albert, 14 runs for 120 metres. In the top tackling department, Elsie, 29, Kennedy Charrington on her return, 27, Brianna Eels, 27 tackles, Ruben Charrington, 25, Chloe Jackson, 22. So very evenly shared through 20, or pretty much evenly shared throughout the group as well. So, look, as I said, with those players off the field and only having a couple of reserves, it was a real courageous effort from the ladies, and got the win, one that will go down in history as one of their best. And great to get it in Magic Round. Unfortunately, there would have been a bigger crowd there if it wasn't for the weather. 6,093 stood or stayed around after the home side played their game. And congratulations to all those Para fans that went up there to Newcastle in those treacherous conditions and cheered the team on. It was great to see a lot of Parramatta support in the crowd, that is for sure. So well done to those who went up there for Magic Round to support the ladies up, and they got the victory. It was probably your support that got them home in the end, so well done to you guys. So next week, as I said, Parramatta, they sit in 5th position on the ladder in the NRLW, 3 wins, 2 losses. They are on 6 points, even with this week's competition, the Cowboys, who are also on 6 points as well from 3 wins, 2 losses. This game will be on at CommBank Stadium at 6:15, I believe, after the men's game that is played there as well. Yes, it is 6:15 p.m. at CommBank Stadium after the men's game, which is played between the two clubs. So a double header for the Parramatta and Cowboys fans at CommBank Stadium this weekend, which should be a good thing. Lots of rugby league action there. I hope the Para fans, which I know they probably will, stick around after the men's game to watch the women's game play. It'll be a very different looking side, I'd say, with a few players out. I dare say that probably Tess McWilliams will probably come in for Kennedy Charrington. She did play whilst she was out, so I'm only guessing that will happen there. And I'm assuming that Fleur Jin will come in for Rory Owen as well, as she played in that position over the weekend when Rory went off. So I don't know who will take her spot on the bench. I'll just have a look at the team, but we'll just have to wait until Team List Tuesday to see the official team list. But as I said, Tess McWilliams will come in for Kennedy Charrington, you would like to think, and we will have, so that maybe even Paige Travis might come in for Kennedy Charrington as well. She might start the game, you never know. So we'll just have to wait and see what the team list Tuesday is. Obviously, A few injuries concerns for Parramatta, because it depends on also Cassie Tahuhiku as well. See how long she is out for. So we'll need a 5/8 go into that position as well. So I'm not 100% sure who a 5/8 would be. So just have to wait and see for Team List Tuesday. I think I've mentioned it about 4 times now. I'm just repeating myself, aren't I? So great to see the Eels get a win to get into that top 6 and give them confidence going into this game against the Cowboys, which will be a cracker. And it's also Indigenous round in the NRL and the NRLW this weekend as well. So I believe it could be the first time that the Eels NRLW side wear the Indigenous jumper, or they will wear it before the men, I think. I'm not 100% sure on that one, but you'd like to think the men might wear it as well. I thought it would be against South Sydney, but maybe because Indigenous round this year is over 2 rounds, I think. So this round and next round, so maybe they'll wear it in both rounds, which will be quite good because they look quite spectacular. And stay tuned to the podcast because I do believe I may have the designer of that jersey coming on the podcast in next week, so stay tuned for that one. He will talk about the obviously the jersey design and also his support for Parramatta. But thank you very much for listening to this NRLW game review, round number 5, Magic Round. As I said, a great win to the Parramatta Eels. Looking forward to seeing them in action on Sunday. You can please give me a follow on Instagram and Facebook as well as Apple and Spotify or your usual podcast platforms where you won't miss a thing. You'll get a notification as to when a new podcast comes out. I really appreciate the support. See you all out there on Sunday at CommBank Stadium, the Para Cave podcast, by the fan, for the fans. Go Para! Dylan, how you going, mate? Are you a Para Cave podcast listener?
I am, bro. It's a great podcast. Everyone tune in. Go
Para!
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Para Cave podcast. See you next time.